Well, hello, here we are again. Today with some suggestions for the alternatives for the Olympus OM2. I've made a little film about the on alternatives for the OM1. Not because I dislike the OM1 or in this case the OM2, but simply because they in fora on internet, in groups on Facebook, they are being idealized, and I do think they're great cameras, but to idealize them is, I think, not what they deserve, because there are alternatives, and in some cases, in all cases, the alternatives I present are much and much cheaper than this one. And in some cases they are even better than this one. All the cameras I will present as an alternative do have the function of aperture priority, are built in almost the same period. I will explain the year of build with every camera I take. And just to open your mind for, well, first of all, for the unknown gems you have in the cameras, but also for alternatives that gives you much more options. What I mean with much more options is, like I said before, it is a very nice, it is a beautiful camera. When you feel it, it's nice and heavy. This lens particularly is a very nice lens. It's also very pricey. Before I continue, I must say I have this set for sale on eBay. So if you still do like Olympus OM2, you can buy it. It's for sale on eBay, and the reason I have it for sale on eBay is two reasons. First of all, I like the cheaper alternatives more, and second of all, I want to buy some more older folding cameras, and I need to fund them, so I need to sell something. And this is on the list to sell. Let's give you a short introduction on the OM2. It's a camera that has as well manual settings for shutter speed as aperture priority. You can set it here what you want, off, manual and auto. Auto will set the camera to aperture priority. Manual will set the camera to manual installation. Here you have the ring for the shutter speed. Here is the ring for the aperture, and the shutter speed stops. Here you can see at 1. If you want to go to bulb, there is a little button here you have to press, and then it goes to bulb. Furthermore, there is a dedicated hot shoe on it. It doesn't come with the camera. Well, it does come with my camera, which is for sale, but standard it didn't come with the camera, so you had to buy it separately. And here you have some corrections if you want. I must admit, I never understood this, because when you are able to set everything manually on the camera, why do you need this? Anyway, of course a self-timer, and here is a socket for extra flashes or synchronization. It is built to have a motor drive, and you can put the motor drive here, and then you have to unscrew this little screw, knob here. Well, aperture priority manual. Let's first start with the aperture priority. You set the aperture here, you point the camera to your subject, you press, and the camera determines the shutter speed. In manual, I do everything myself. So I determine the shutter speed. I will set it now to 1 second. There it goes, 1 second, or if I want to go to 1/1000th of a second, that is the maximum shutter speed on this one. It goes like this. The camera can only handle lenses with the OM mount. I must admit, Ricoh makes beautiful lenses, really beautiful lenses, also very nice to use on digital cameras. But also, and that is also a reason why I started looking for alternatives, because I have a lot of Olympus's OM series, the single digits and double digits. But I started to look for alternatives because the lenses are beautiful, but quite expensive. And I use the lenses on my analog cameras and digital cameras, but I find them quite pricey. They are very good, but and it strikes me that a lot of Ricoh lenses contain fungus. Not this one, this lens is free of fungus, but sometimes they do. Well, this camera in the viewfinder, you see, depending on how your setting is here, you see different kind of metering. On a manual, you see a meter that is, well, you have to get it within a certain area to have the right aperture shutter speed combination. If you put it on auto, you have a shutter speed scale visible, so you can see what shutter speed is being used automatically by the camera. Light meter works on this one, and well, a lot of OM2s it doesn't work anymore. This one is fully functional, and it works. Battery check is here on the back of the camera. You can see it. A little light goes on. Yes, what else is there to say on the camera? Well, pretty much that's it. It's a beautiful camera. It feels good, but like I said before, it's quite pricey. Now, keep in mind that this camera needs batteries, and there are common available batteries like the LR44. It needs batteries to operate, so the shutter is also electronically. You cannot use it fully manually, so you always need batteries to use this camera. Okay, now what about the alternatives? Well, like I said before, I was looking for alternatives with a different lens mount, because if you look at the M42 mount and the K mount, there are lots of lenses available. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a M42 mount camera with aperture priority? Why aperture priority? Because I do have a lot of cameras and which I have to operate completely manually. But if the possibility is there, I always use aperture priority. Why? Well, because I want to gain control over the depth of field. I want to control if I want to have bokeh or not. I want to control which parts of the picture I want to have sharp and which one not. And with that, with aperture priority, the camera itself, it decides what shutter speed to take. And the only thing I want the camera to tell me, if I come below 1/60th of a second, it gives me a signal, because then I am not able to make a steady picture. That is for me personally, and that is why I love aperture priority and not so much shutter priority or manual. If I use this camera manual, what I do is I look in the viewfinder, I set the distance, I choose my aperture, I look in the viewfinder what kind of shutter speed I need, and I put the shutter speed manually here. So, it's quite complicated way in this way of making a photograph, knowing you have a aperture priority function on it. Well, so far for the OM2N, this is the OM2N version. So for the alternatives, like I said before, I was looking for one that by, if possible, M42 mount. And I found one. This is the Chinon CA-4 Memotron. And this Chinon has basically the same features and one special feature more than the Olympus OM. First, look at the dimensions. The Chinon is, well, slightly bigger. Few millimeters taller, but it doesn't mean anything. It feels also very well built. It used metal. You can see it. It has some patina everywhere. It's metal. It's brass. And this Chinon has, like the Olympus, the same possibilities. Auto here means aperture priority, and here you see all the manual speeds. And interesting to see is here you can even have set it for 4 seconds in manual, quite well. So And here, of course, you have like the Olympus, you have the corrections if you want. There is a little knob here to this knob. The Olympus also has it on the no, doesn't have it, I think, but it is to lock the mirror up. So if you have a long shutter speed, the camera doesn't vibrate when the mirror goes up. It's this little knob you can use. I've never used it, I must say very honestly. Well, in here is the viewfinder. The viewfinder, it gives you a, like the Olympus OM2, it gives you in any position, it gives you the, in auto it gives you the shutter speed chosen by the camera itself, depending on what aperture you have chosen. In manual, if I set it on the manual, it suggests the aperture needed to the chosen shutter speed, and you can put it in here or not, whatever you want. Furthermore, this camera has a lock, which the Olympus doesn't have, so like this you cannot fire it. And like said before, it is a M42 with a aperture priority, and that system is quite amazing if you know how the M42 usually works with the TTL metering. With an M42, I will fire it. With the M42 and TTL metering, this is what happens. You see here, there's a little lever. I will, let's see, let's put it on bulb. Let's see if I can make it visible here. You see this little lever here comes out. You see? And then it goes back. So two things happen here. This goes up front, and you can see the mirror going up and the shutter opening. And when I loosen it, the lever goes back. Now what is happening here with this camera if you put it on auto? I will show you. Pressing the shutter has two functions, and they go automatically. First of all, the lever goes to the front, it shuts the aperture, and you hear tick click. You hear two clicks. What happens is the first click is to open the mirror, and not to open the mirror, but to advance this lever for the aperture. That is the first click. What happens then is the camera meters the needed shutter speed combined with the aperture you have put in, and then when it's calculated, it opens the mirror and opens the shutter with the calculated speed. So when you press this button, two things happen. Automatically the lever goes to the front, the camera measures, and then the aperture closes to the value you have put in here. Then the camera measures the time the shutter should be open, measuring the light. And then when that's done, the shutter goes open for the calculated time. You can use any M42 lens, any, on this camera, and that is why I love this camera so much. It's an aperture priority with the possibility, if you want, to put the manual shutter speed in it, if you like, for some reason. And it has, yes, this mechanism that makes it suitable for all your M42 mount lenses. And there are a lot of M42 mount lenses, really a lot. Like this one. And the thing is about these lenses, they're all pretty affordable. They're pretty cheap. Like this little Chinon lens I've bought. This is a beautiful wide angle lens. I bought it for 20 euros. The camera I bought for 30 euros, by the way. The camera also has, like the OM2, because we are comparing this with the OM2, a self-timer. And there is one feature that the OM2 lacks, which makes this camera even more superior to the OM2, I think, and that is this little knot. For instance, I will show you how it works. I press it halfway to measure. It's now on aperture priority, so I push it down, the lever comes to the front, it measures how much time the shutter should be open, and if I press this button here, then the shutter time is being remembered, hence the name Memotron. If I point it to a different object with a different lighting, the camera will use the shutter speed chosen when it was in this position. If you click this, then it uses the shutter speed chosen in this position. So you lock the lighting values by pressing this camera, this little button. So I do like this, I do this, and if I think, okay, I pressed half and I want to correct it, then you press it again and then the light meter becomes active again. Very nice feature, because this gives you control if there is a big light difference in your subject and behind it, or lots of shades. It gives you a lot of creative possibilities. Excellent. Excellent and unique. The viewfinder gives you in the metering with the needle the shutter speeds chosen by the system on auto on aperture priority, or chosen with the shutter speed you have or the aperture you have chosen in manual speed, in manual setting. So of course, it has a bulb. Of course, it's almost not important to mention. Batteries are just the normal LR44 batteries. And here is something for the motor drive if you want. It's also possible to have it with motor drive. So all in all, let's summarize. This camera has more features than the OM2. The price is about, well, I bought it for 30 euros. I think it's about a third to a quarter of the OM2. You have much more lenses available to choose from. And yes, this little feature is unique to this camera, and the OM2 doesn't have it. A winner, I think, compared to... Okay, then I hear people on forum, yes, the building quality. Okay, let's talk about the building quality. This camera, the CE3 Memotron, was built in 1979. This camera was built in 1982. So this one is even older. It's still functioning today flawlessly. So don't give me that shit on building quality, because I've had Olympus's OM2 which were really horrible and also broke. And there's another thing the Olympus OM2 and the OM single digits have, and that is there can be a damaging of the prism, and that is due to the isolation material they used on the prism. It starts to irritate the coating on the prism, and that you will see in the viewfinder. This one has, by the way, a clear viewfinder and no prism damaged, but it's a common disease of the OM single digits, the prism. This one doesn't have it. Viewfinder is clear, no problems. So, well, yeah. This one is a super camera. Love it. Okay, what alternatives do we have more? Well, I want to show you one that has one feature less than the Olympus OM2N, but I want to present you this because it's very cheap, and like I said before, when I have a camera with aperture priority, I don't use the manual settings anymore. May I present to you the Chinon CA-4. The CA-4 only has aperture priority setting. Okay, it can be a disadvantage, but if you don't mind, 20-25 euros, you buy this camera with such a lens. At the most 30 euros. Beautiful camera. It has in the viewfinder a little bit like the OM10, the LEDs on the left, which indicates the shutter speeds combined with according to the aperture you have chosen. And that's about it. Well, you have some correction here if you want. That's about it. It's one stop and here the bulb. Now those are the possibilities of this camera. Pretty simple to use, but it makes excellent pictures, and it has standard, of course, a hot shoe which you have to buy separately for the OM2. Well, this camera here it also operates on LR44 batteries. The other advantage on this camera is the Chinon Memotron had a M42 mount. This camera has a Pentax K mount. And that means that there are also lots and lots of lenses available only for cameras with a K mount, like the Pentaxes, but lots of other camera manufacturers who use the K mount. Lots of lenses available mean they are cheap and very affordable, and most of the times very good quality lenses. And all these K-mount lenses you can use on your digital camera as well. So, you know, don't forget this camera. It is a nice, simple camera, but still a mechanical masterpiece. And looking at the dimensions, it's even smaller, a little bit smaller than the OM2, a little bit higher, but if you look at the hot shoe, then it's even a little bit smaller. So it feels very nice to hold in your hand. It feels very thoroughly made. And again, I hear people say on fora, building quality. This camera, this CA-4, was built in 1980, so 1 year before the OM2 and I have over there. Still functioning, still giving me lots of joy every day. Great camera. So simple alternative for the OM2 if you do not mind it lacks the manual shutter speed settings. Now, something more exotic as a alternative. I made a video on this one earlier. It's the Ricoh XRS Solar, and this little camera has the same features as the Olympus 2N and some features more, and I will show you what that means in technique and what you can do with it. Sorry, I had to shut the curtain because the sun was... This camera is full of options. I advise you to watch my video on this camera. It gives you more details than this. In short, this camera has a rechargeable battery in it, and it's being recharged by these little solar panels. So basically, for the lifespan of the rechargeable battery, which is 8 years, you do not need to buy any batteries. Now, looking at the features of this one has a very nice lens, I have to admit. The camera itself, with a standard 1.7 Ricoh lens or Chinon or Pentax 2.0, costs about 40-45 euros, which still is a third of the price of the OM2. Let's look at the features. Well, it has a lot. Of course, it has a self-timer. Here you see a little button. With this you activate the light meter inside. The light meter inside is a not LED, but is like more LCD. It's a liquid crystal meter and it indicates on the manual mode, it indicates the advised shutter speed, so that you can set here. There is a self-timer on it. You press it and then it goes in self-timer. And what this one has and the OM2 doesn't have is its possibility of multiple exposures. Now let's look here. Compare it again to the OM2. Well, it has shutter speeds going from 16 full seconds to 1/1000th of a second. You see the bulb, you see the A, it's for automatic, and then it goes for aperture priority. You see the L. With the L you lock the camera, so well, sorry. I had to I had to close the curtains, and I closed the curtains, and then the camera stopped recording. So I don't have a fancy recording studio. This is what I have. So anyway, we were here with the Ricoh Solar and all the features it has. Like said before, what I especially like on this camera is that when you look through the viewfinder, you not only see the suggested or chosen shutter speed, but also the aperture you have chosen on this lens. So I've removed the little metal ball from this lens while I was cleaning one element, because it's now possible to arrange it stepless, which I like a lot. Well, overall, to summarize, this one is, well, a third to a fourth of the price of the Olympus OM, and it has more features, far more features, also for creative use, than the Olympus 2. And yes, the building quality of this is superb, like the other one. This camera is from 1981, and even the Olympus is from 1982. So this one is 1 year older than the Olympus. It is nothing wrong with this building quality of this camera. All the features it has, more like with the light meter here, the multiple exposure, the shutter speeds up to 16 seconds to choose. The viewfinder is far more advanced than the little needle in the Olympus OM2. So yes, I think this, with the K-mount, which offers you a lot of choice in lenses, is a superb alternative. But of course there are people who already have a OM system with OM lenses. So yes, what then? Well, for those I have an alternative too. And it is the Olympus OM40. I can hear you say, well, yes, but no. Honestly, this camera is from 1985, so it's 3 years younger than the OM2. But it has some features the OM2 doesn't have. It has the Olympus OM mount for your Olympus lenses. It has some extra features, like a program mode. With the program mode you set the maximum aperture you want to use, and then you only have to set focus, and then the camera uses the combination of the shutter speed and the aperture. So if you put the aperture to 5.6, then the maximum aperture the camera will choose in the program mode will be 5.6. It's a nice point to shoot option, you know, if you like. I never use this program modus because I want to have control on my aperture. If you want to have aperture control, you set it to A, and then you choose the valued aperture here, and the camera chooses the shutter speed. In the viewer you will see a Olympus OM10 like LED system to indicate what shutter speed the camera has chosen, or what you should choose. Very clear in all kinds of circumstances, it's very clear to use. What it has above the OM2 is here the metering system. The metering system you can choose to set the ESP on, or the electronic spot metering on or off with this camera, and spot metering is far more advanced than this light metering system in this camera. Now looking at the sizes, well, it's basically as big as, it's a little bit higher overall here, but you know, with the hot shoe in combination it's the same height. So like the OM2, you can set the shutter speed here in this ring close to the lens mount, and like I said, it has the OM lens mount, so you can use your Olympus OM lenses on this one. Here's a self-timer. I do not have a battery in this one, so I have to put a battery in to get the mirror down again on this one. Same problem you have with the OM2. It needs batteries to operate. Again, a lot of people say, yeah, yes, building quality. Well, this is 3 years younger than the Olympus OM2. It's still functioning on a daily basis. There's nothing wrong with the building quality of this. I mean, stop nagging about building quality and plastic wheels and whatever. It is a beautiful made, very solid camera with a lot of features. Only a fraction of the price of the OM2. It's simply technically seen a better camera. The light metering is more advanced. The shutter is more advanced. In any way, in options, it's more advanced here with the X system. It chooses the ISO automatically on a film. You have here a little window. You can see what kind of film you've put in it. It's simply a more advanced camera, a more practical camera, in my opinion. One you should consider if you want to buy an Olympus OM2 for reasons like manual setting, Olympus mount, etc. Choose this one. The OM double digits all have the possibility in some way to make them completely manual with batteries. They all need batteries, the double digits, but they all have their unique things. The OM10, 20, 30 and 40. I chose the 40 because this is in the double digits. Most of the times one of the cheapest ones to get, and I don't understand why, because it's the most advanced one. And like I said before, it's very thoroughly built, and there's no reason why to skip this one. So yes, also this one is a beautiful alternative for the OM2N with the possibility of the dedicated Olympus flashes to use here as well. So no reason why not to have this camera also in the row of possibilities you want to have. I hope you liked it, the alternatives of the OM2. It was only to make you think about what possibilities there are, and there are lots of possibilities. These are only a few examples. But I've taken these ones basically set on the lens mount, OM, K mount and M42 to show you that there are cameras much cheaper, same build quality, sometimes even more technically advanced than the OM2 with of a fraction of the price. Now, if you have questions or of one of these beautiful cameras, please set them below. If you have remarks, set them below. If I see your remarks, I will reply as soon as I see them. And thank you for watching again. Thank you.